Hello and welcome to the UiPath Automation Ops training. As companies scale automation across their business areas and empower more and more people to participate in the automation program as users, as citizen developers, or professional automation developers, the need for governance becomes critical. And this is one of the most important reasons for which UiPath Automation Ops is here. In this first video, we'll see how to create a new policy in Automation Ops, and what are the options we can customize in a governance policy. Let's get started. UiPath Automation Ops is accessible directly from UiPath Automation Cloud. We'll go to Admin, then to Automation Ops right here. Under the Policies tab, we'll simply click at Product Policy. Let's say we want to create a policy for StudioX users. So we'll choose a name for the policy, then select StudioX from the list below, then click Add. Okay, let's take a look at the upper side options. We can change the availability of the policy, but let's leave it to the default of 30 days. Then we can set the priority. In case there are other policies that can apply, we can control the order in which they will apply. As we can see, we do have other policies here. So let's set the priority to 1 for the new one. Right below this, we can choose a description for our policy. Let's say Basic Policy for Citizen Developers. We can now move on to what we can define inside a policy. These are organized in 5 tabs: Design, Feature Toggles, Manage Sources, Workflow Analyzer, and Location. Let's check them out one by one. In the Design tab, the first 2 options are extremely important. Basically, these determine whether the policy is actually enforced, and the rules are verified. It's important to set both Enforce Analyzer before Publish, and Enforce Analyzer before Run to Yes. In the second tab, Feature Toggles, we can set general StudioX behaviors that cannot be configured by the end users, like allow users to send feedback, or the Getting Started screen. Next, we have the Manage Sources tab. Through this we can control the feed management. We can choose whether the users can add or remove feeds, or if they can enable or disable the existing ones. Then we can actually control the package sources displayed by default to end users. Alright, let's advance to the Workflow Analyzer tab, which offers by far the most customization options. If you are familiar with the Workflow Analyzer from UiPath Studio, then you should know that you can potentially customize any Workflow Analyzer rule from this tab. Some of them are already added and can be edited. Others need to be added from scratch. Use the UiPath official documentation to identify the right rules to customize in your particular case. Now let's take an example. Let's say we want to restrict the usage of the Chrome browser in automations. And we also want to prohibit users from automating use cases that involve a certain website, say uipath.com. We'll first identify the rule that restricts both applications and URLs. Here it is. Let's uncheck the Use Default Value box and add chrome.exe in this field corresponding to restricted apps. Restricting uipath.com goes pretty much the same way. Let's add the full URL in this field. And there's one more thing we need to do to make sure these restrictions will apply. We need to change the default action from warning to error. This way, when a user fails to comply with this rule, they will not be able to run or publish the automation. Then we'll simply click Save. Okay, the last tab in this view is Location. We can use this to control the default locations where automation projects can be created. But we won't make any customizations here right now, so we can save once again. Now, here's our newly created policy. Here's its name, description, the product to which it applies, and the priority. Before closing this demo, it's important to note the order in which UiPath Studio applies the governance policy. Automation Ops is first, then Orchestrator. Next is Registry Key, and the last one is Local. But what happens if the connection between Studio and Automation Ops is interrupted for various reasons? To answer this, you should know that every time a new policy is deployed successfully, a cache policy is created. So when the connection is interrupted, the cache policy will be used. We're at the end of our Automation Ops demo, in which we created our first StudioX policy, and we noted some of the customization options. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.